Greetings, Internet. Welcome to Aaron Plays. In this episode, I'll be continuing my playthrough against Mark using play by email of Fallen Eagle, Waterloo 1815, Scenario 3, which is Prussian steamroller at Plancenoit. So far, we've had my first activation, von Bulow, and then we've had the counter activation by the French Sixth Corps. So we're just about to do my second activation. So far it's gone too well. We've done 2 logs and the game's playing along nicely. So without any further, let's go and look at the map screen. So we had a little bit of a tussle here, and Mark rolled really badly for his charge of cavalry, and they got all reduced in the actual encounter here. So we're into. I cannot activate von Bulow because I activated him in my last activation, so you can't have the same formation activating again twice in a row. So I have a choice of von Blücher or Pirch. So let's see what I go for. So remember, this is now my log file that I'll be sending to Mark. So greetings. His charge was interesting. So as I said, I will try to activate von Pirch, as cannot activate the same formation as my last activation. Was tempted to do Blücher. An 8 was rolled. So just remember, we're not using the vassal dice. We're using Axe, which is the automated card tracking systems die roll generator. We're both not very impressed with the die roll in the vassal module. So that was rolled. So Pirch is an 8. So remember, it's going to be equal to or less than his command ability. So he is activated. And I start moving some cavalry. There's 2 cavalry in that stack, so they're all coming in here. I think I've moved them too far, and Mark will correct me on that. So, yeah, I'm recording this after I've had about 4 or 5 log files come through. So then I've played the game, and I'm now going back over it for this actual recording, so they will be corrected. Then I sort of split the infantry up, so 1, 2, 3, 4. As it's a trail, they get an extra movement point. Remember, the stacking is maximum of 2 infantry units and an artillery. 2 units and an artillery, no matter what the size in stacking points. So that's what I'm going for here, as those guys advance along the road. As I mentioned, the trail gives them +1 bonus. There is no defensive fire because I haven't moved adjacent to him. There's no melee because I'm not assaulting him. And then it's back to him at that point. So let me go and get his log. Okay, so Mark's greeting himself and all you guys that are watching. Right, Ruthven could have sworn that was French blue uniforms approaching behind von Bulow's corps. Turns out it's von Pirch. Still, we are confident Grouchy will go along shortly. Yeah, Grouchy's engaged at Wavre. There was 1 small movement error in the log. The 3rd and 5th Hussars, as I said, he points out, moved 1 movement point too far. They need to count the initial hex as the first movement point. Could you please rein them in a bit? Hey, I need every advantage I can get, so I will rein them in. Oh, I think I'll do that in my next log, so we'll see what. So he's just highlighting that. The French are limited to 2 options: to either pass or to auto-activate the guard units on the road west of Plancenoit. Okay, So the French do not have a leader on the board, so they auto-activate, as that's a special rule in the scenario. So he elects to get the guards on the field. They do not need to roll to activate and are considered in command in this scenario. Their orders are geographical to Plancenoit, so they can't, go beyond 3 hexes beyond that location. There's no offensive fire, so it's straight to movement. So 2 regiments advance to the steep ridgeline south of the village. Okay, so now just look at the troop quality on these chaps. Okay, so it's the first and second chasseurs of the Imperial. That's the old guard. And then they're backed up by a regiment of the young. 10 troop quality. Well, I'm sitting around here with 7. And lots of 6s. So, yeah, these guys are pretty good. They expended 5 points to get there. Your horse battery may elect to retreat before combat. They would then roll a QFT and if missed by 2, lose half a step. So that's an option I will have in my log when it comes back to me. The Guard Grenadier Regiment advances to reinforce the northern outskirts of the village. Their troop quality. So the Grenadiers of the Old Guard, 11 troop quality. The best you're going to get. And then they go to reinforce that stack there. So the artillery are on top. I mean, artillery are placed on top, but the lead unit of the stack is the top unit, which is either infantry or cavalry. In this case, it's the guard, shielding the shattered regiments of 6th Corps. First soldiers advances to cover the road leading to our chain of command and supply. There we go. And then he's placing 2. The remaining guard regiments stay in reserve and only move forward a few hundred paces to position on the high ground. And then he goes on, note that should my horse battery retreat before combat, then the guard regiments will stay where they are. Should the horse battery not retreat before combat, then the guard regiments will declare a melee and you can take the decision again whether to retreat or not. And he ends that log file at that point. So let me just pause. So my return log. All right, so correcting the error first, which we mentioned with those 2 cavalry regiments. Took them 1 hex too far, brought them back. Okay, and now the retreat before combat. So, yeah, I decide to retreat as he moves up there with my guns. And I make a roll, and I go more than 2 greater than their troop quality. I roll a 10 on the axe. And so I retreat the 2 hexes, but I take a step loss, hence. Cavalry wouldn't have had to do the morale check, but horse artillery, yeah, those guard march very quickly. Retreat and then reduce. And this is splicing into his actual log, so there'll be some repeats here, which we've already seen. Okay, we've already seen all this. Okay, so that was his guy. So my activation, I will go for von Bulow. I needed a 9 or less. So I went von Bulow, von Perch, von Bulow again. I still haven't done von Blucher. So I need 9. 3 rolled. He is keen. So I activate 6th Corps. No, French is 6th Corps. 4th Corps. And I start with an offensive fire. So I'm going to start firing that battery, which is highlighted with the, and that battery, and targeting Mouton stack. So it's 12 firepower, which gives me a -1 modifier. If there's 10 or more, there's a -1 modifier. But that actually is for every 10. So if I had actually be able to fire 20, there would have been extra -1 modifier. So there's a maximum -2. Roll of 4 becomes a 3. That was a good roll. So it's a QFT2 plus 1 step. So what that means, he takes the QFT of his stack is 6 plus 1 from Nortan is 7. Okay. And he's got to roll less than 7, but he's adding 2 to the dice. I've just marked my stacks as 5. QF2 on 6 plus 1, 7. Roll of 7 modified to a 9. If he'd rolled a 1 higher, that would have been a rout. As it's 2 difference, he must retreat. And then you've got to take a step loss on the lead unit, which will eliminate it. It was already reduced. As I said, he has to make a decision there. The cavalry must retreat or take another step loss. So he could remain in the same position or it retreats. And I ask him, which is it to be? And say goodbye. So I'll then load up the next file. So in his next log, Mark says, higher and the cavalry will withdraw. Retreat is such an ugly description, we prefer withdraw. And then with a smiley. Yeah, okay. Potato, potato. They pull back. And that's it. Start a new log file. So I'll just bring this straight up. File, load game. That was log 10, so I got down to log 11. Go straight back in. Back to me. I think it's just one more shot, which is from my infantry. His infantry. Roll of 6. Infantry require effectively a 5 or less to score anything, whereas artillery need a 7. So there's no result on that shot. Mark the Hexasim. Let's do a flanking charge. Okay. Because we're starting into the movement part of my phase. I've just removed, I incorrectly marked his counters as fatigue because they were starting the adjacent to my unit and then retreating and fire. They would count fatigued if they were starting my movement part of my segment adjacent to me, which they're not. They retreated from the fire. So prepping my cavalry, I'm charging with the stack here. So I'm prepping them and then moving them adjacent to that 5th Legaire. Classes of Markham as flanking. Its classes are flanking and charge because those infantry are starting adjacent to my infantry as I bring the cavalry in. Moving forward, it costs 3 movement points to leave a hex, but I can always move 1 hex. And then we're starting to encroach with my cavalry and some horse artillery. Look at those French on the hill. And the way I'm looking at these guard units is, well, yes, they're magnificent in melee, but they still bleed, so bring up the guns. Right, I mentioned there that this cavalry unit is starting 6 hexes from this hex. My orders are towards that hex, so he can't end up further away from that hex than what he started, hence why I say it's starting 6 hexes. If I wanted to move him away, say I wanted to move him back here, for whatever reason, I would have to do that. You'd have to do a troop quality check, and that would be classed as moving against his orders, so he'd only move at half his movement rate. But he is moving forward. So threatening line of communications. I want to stretch him as much as possible. Bringing more infantry and guns around to the southern part. So the move's complete. Now the melee decoration. So I'm declaring the melee on that 5th League air. Moving the markers around. Okay. So now it will move back to his defensive fire. So let's just bring up that log rather than keep pausing. So we're looking for a log. I think we've done log 11. Yeah, got to do log 12. Okay. Go. Hi, Aaron. Right, so 5th Leg Air don't have time to form square, which is emergency defense order, as enemy infantry were already engaged then. So they're defensive fire instead. DRMs are -1 for light infantry. He's got that little L on his counter, which denotes him as light infantry, so they're a bit more effective in the fire, but +1 because I'm flanking him with my cavalry. So it's a 0 DRM. Dice rolls a 9, no effect on with the charge. So that's the only defensive fire, because I'm not actually declared an attack anywhere else. So I might as well bring up the next log. Okay. Hi, Mark. Right, melee. Woohoo! Here we go. Right, so because it's flanking charge, we've got 14 cavalry steps. So that's 6, 4, 14. But it's then ×2 because it's flanking. So it's worth 28. I'm also attacking with 30 infantry, which is a total of 58. He's defending with 9 factors. So that's 6 to 1, which is -6. Which, in actual fact, is not quite correct. Because the maximum you can get from odds is -5. That's -5. Not -6 as I've written there. The quality factors are equal. So Blucher is leading the cavalry, so the cavalry's the lead unit. It's only got a morale of 6, but Blucher gives them 2 because of his 2 initiative rating. No, his initiative rating is 11. He's 2 combat rating on his counter. So he boosts their morale to 8. And the 5th Leg Air has got a morale of 8. So the QS are equal, no modifier. There's no terrain mods either. Blucher and the cavalry are the lead unit. So -5 is the best one. So even I said -6 on the odds, it's still -5, and that's the best you can get anyway. Okay. I rolled a 12, which is the worst result you can get. When I saw that 12 come up on the axe, I was mortified. I thought, oh dear, all that effort. Flanking charge, -5 modifier. Failure. Okay, so 12 take away 5 is a 7, which is a QFT on both sides. So not a total disaster. Also, the defender has to take the QFT first, and any failure on his part is an auto route, no matter if it's only a difference of only 1, because it was a flanking charge. So I thought, okay, the only other downsides, I thought, I've got to take a leader loss check because I rolled that 12. So, Blucher. Yeah, squeaky bum time. Net result is a 7, which is a QFT each. Now, I've written there my guy's route as it was an unmodified 12. That was a mistake. That's not true. So it's on their morale is an unmodified 12. They auto route. So this is where it goes slightly wrong. So anyway, here's QFT. An 8 is QFT is an 8, so he stood. So if he rolled a 9, they would have routed. But they didn't. So, question is, now what happens to Blucher? I've got to do a roll on a random results table. Okay, which is triggered if there's a 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, or 12 on the melee die roll. So, as it was a 12, 5 is rolled. This is a bit of a disaster. Blucher is wounded, which I mark now. Route moves. Okay, so I haven't done my QFT, which I should have done at this point. I've routed him, which is incorrect. But with this I will correct it. Route check on the artillery move through. So I've got to do a route check on this guy because he's been routed through. He passes. Again, this is all on the axe die roll. I then routed this guy, which was incorrect because I haven't done a QFT on them yet. I just took that 12 as an auto route, and this is where I made a mistake. But these will be corrected. And I cleared everything. That was a disaster. It was a disaster. It's not as bad once I do the correction. Okay, so I then double-checked the rules and found out that the actual 12 result in the melee I read it as an auto route on both. It's not. They still do have their normal QFTs. So I did a QFT on these guys. They pass. I did a QFT on these guys, and they rolled a 12 again, which is an auto route. So everything that happened to this stack here was correct. This stack passed their check. So Mark says, I'll return von Bülow and his men and mark them in good order. Okay. Our battle for Plancenoit will henceforth be known as the Farrier's Nightmare. 2 failed cavalry charges in as many minutes. Yes, his charge with non-mutant, ending with all his cavalry reduced. Mine ending with my cavalry routed and Blucher wounded. Blucher's quality seriously dropped now. So, yeah, 2 lots of disasters. I noticed that one of your 4th corps stacks breaks stacking limits on the high ground just east of Plancenoit. 24 infantry and 2 times 3 artillery batteries. No, I'll move one of the batteries rearwards. If that's okay. No, it doesn't break stacking. Let me just pause on that. Double check. I haven't seen this log, so pause recording. So I'll move one of the battery rearwards. If that's okay. So he's asking that. The answer is no. I'm within stacking. I'm allowed 2 units of any type plus a gun. This is one of the exceptions. So he's moving that back. When I do my log, I'll be moving that back on top. Back to the French. Muto attempts activation. If he doesn't succeed, it will go straight back to me. Okay. So Muto needs a 9. He rolls an 8. So the French are up and ready to go. Offensive fire begins. There's a little 2 battery there. +1 for 2 less than 4 strength points and no terrain. I roll 6 + 1, so it's a QFT. Prussian quality is 7. So again, these are all rolls on the axe. So roll of a 6, they pass. Auto battery 10, 8 SIPs, no DRMs. Okay, so he's got 8 strength points of artillery firing. Result is okay, he rolled really well on this. He rolled double 1. He hasn't mentioned it, but he did roll double 1. I saw it come up. QFT check first. 10 infantry is QF7. Die roll is 7 + 2 for 9. Failed by 2, but no further effect as they are not adjacent. If they had been adjacent, I'd have had to retreat. So the lead unit must take the step loss, so is eliminated. He's playing a bit loose there. The lead unit must take the first step loss. As it was 2 step losses, let me just check the rules on that. Yeah, he's correct. Lead unit must take all step losses. So it's eliminated. Good unit. Gone. Rolls a 6 for QFT. I roll a 4. No problem. So he says these could fire at there, but he decides not to. Into his movement part. So the line of Prussian guns looks very intimidating. Mouton will do what he can to alleviate that. So he's going to fall back by the looks of it. But French cavalry moves back to reduce enemy cannon fire, but still guard the VP Hex. Oh, he's pulling back that cavalry to ward off my little incursion. Okay, well, they've already moved, but that's fine. I'm not going to. He's pulling back nicely, but at the end of the day, there's only so far he can go. Okay, French move's done. Marked as activated. I appear to be running out of space to withdraw. Yes, back to me. Okay. So I think, because there's no defensive fire, because he's not marked an assault, no melee, that'll be the end of his activation. And I think that'll be where I end this log. Other than we'll be moving the artillery back up that hill there. So actually, you know what? I will do that now. I'm thinking about it. Clear the map. Remove the moves and save this. Save game. Activation. Ready to start the next log. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. So let me just move off. Well, that was fun. Was it? Rolling a double 6, is that fun in this system? I was mortified, as I said, but it happens. 1 in 36 chance, happens 50% of the time. Well, it doesn't, but it feels like it does when it does happen. I have rolled 2 double 6s now in the game. Mark's rolled a double 1. Yay. But it's finely balanced. It's I can't operate Van Bulow again this actual turn. He can't do more. He's still got 1 activation of his guard. I've still got 1 activation of Perch and 2 activations for Blucher, even though he's now reduced to 7-0. So my little edge that I had with him, where he could activate at least 2 stacks once per turn, has gone. But he can still rally troops, not as effectively as he would have been able to before, but he can still do it. I am having quite a few routes going on. So, yeah, that's probably the next thing I will do in my next activation. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I mean, Mark put it in when we do exchange texts and chats when we can. And he quoted from the Gladiator movie, "Are you not entertained?" I hope you are. I hope you'll hit that like button because it does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Again, it does help the channel grow and get this out to more people who might enjoy it. And finally, as always, Mark and I both love reading your comments. So please add a comment, say something if you're even just join that, lads, or you could have done this, you could have done that, you missed that rule, or something like that. Anything, a comment will be much appreciated. So until next time, let me get ready to say bye. Bye, Internet.